Have you ever noticed how much time you spend trying to explain yourself to people who don't even matter? Seriously, how often do you find yourself defending your dreams, justifying your choices, or silently waiting for someone's approval for a life that only you have to live? It's exhausting. And worse, it's stealing from you. Every second you spend trying to prove something to someone else is a second you're not building the life you actually want. Let that sink in. Because here's the hard truth. Success doesn't come from announcing your plans. It doesn't come from trying to convince the world you're worthy. It comes from execution, from discipline, from showing up when no one sees you and doing the work anyway. Most people never build the life they want because they're too busy being distracted. They let the noise of the world override their own clarity. They compare their beginning to someone else's finish line. They scroll, they pause, they hesitate, all while their potential rots in silence. And worst of all, they explain. They explain their dreams to people who don't get it. They shrink their ambition to make others comfortable. They stay stuck trying to fit into boxes they were never meant to be in. But if you really want to win, you've got to stop. Stop explaining. Stop announcing. Stop apologizing for being the one who wants more. Because the truth is, success is built in silence. It's built in the early hours while everyone else is asleep. It's built when you choose discipline over dopamine. When you show up not because it's easy, but because it's necessary. You don't need an audience. You don't need applause. What you need is consistency. And the more you focus inward, your growth, your grind, your game, the more the world around you starts to shift. You make better decisions. You attract better people. You earn better outcomes. Not because someone told you you're good enough, but because you proved it to yourself. This isn't about isolation. This isn't about cutting everyone off. It's about guarding your energy like your life depends on it, because it does. You don't owe everyone access to your time. Not every conversation needs a response. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Protect your mind like it's your mission, because it is. Here's the crazy part. Once you stop broadcasting your moves, your progress becomes undeniable. People will notice. They'll wonder how you did it. They'll try to figure it out. But you won't have to say a word. Your work will speak for itself. Your focus will echo louder than your words ever could. So here's the challenge. Stop explaining. Stop performing. Stop stalling. Just start executing. Do the work, focus on you, show up daily, and trust that if you do, everything else will follow. Because what you focus on expands. Focus on growth, and you grow. Focus on distraction, and you disappear. Your energy is one of the most powerful currencies you have, and most people are giving it away without even realizing it. Every thought you think, every action you take, every choice you make, it's either feeding your future or fueling your fears. So ask yourself, where is your focus going? Because here's the problem. Most people spend their focus on what's missing. They feed themselves a diet of negativity. They waste time on people, opinions, and content that have nothing to do with where they're trying to go. And then they wonder why they feel stuck. Your life is a mirror. It reflects what you repeatedly feed it. Surround yourself with chaos, you get confusion. Surround yourself with discipline, you get direction. The shift starts when you take ownership of your energy. And yes, this isn't just motivational talk. This is backed by your own biology. There's a part of your brain called the reticular activating system. It filters what matters most to you. Whatever you focus on, your brain starts highlighting more of it. You want a new car? You'll start seeing it everywhere. That's your brain filtering your reality based on what you've told it to prioritize. Now imagine if you trained your brain to focus on possibility instead of problems. Imagine if your default lens was opportunity, not fear. You'd start attracting different conversations. You'd start recognizing windows where others only see walls. You'd stop waiting and start winning. But here's the thing. Most people never rewire that focus. They let the world hijack their day from the minute they wake up. They grab their phone before their purpose. They scroll before they create. They react before they lead. They're on everyone else's frequency, but not their own. If you want change, you've got to change what you're allowing in. Your energy is your responsibility. No one's coming to manage it for you. That means you have to be intentional. Set boundaries, say no, walk away from anything that doesn't push you toward your purpose. Replace complaints with action, excuses with execution, distractions with discipline. When you do this, your results begin to shift. Your world recalibrates. And here's the beautiful part. The things that used to drain you no longer affect you. The people who doubted you no longer define you, not because they changed, but because you did. You trained yourself to focus on what matters. And when you live like that, when you put all your energy into becoming better, stronger, more focused, your external world starts to catch up with your internal one. This is why success isn't random. It's not magic. It's alignment. Your habits, your mindset, your decisions, all lining up with the person you say you want to become. You don't need every step figured out. You don't need clarity on the whole road. You just need to direct your focus towards building, not explaining. So here's the real question. What are you choosing to focus on? Because that decision, that single choice, is already shaping your life.
If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Let's talk about the real killer of progress. It's not failure. It's not fear. It's distraction. Distraction is deceptive. It doesn't scream. It whispers. It shows up dressed as urgency, as entertainment, as just a quick check. And before you know it, hours are gone. Momentum is gone. Clarity is gone. You think you're just pausing, but in reality, you're leaking potential. One scroll, one notification, one meaningless conversation at a time. The most dangerous distractions are the ones that feel harmless, the ones that look like connection, the ones that feel like rest. But they're robbing you silently. They don't just waste your time. They fracture your focus. And here's the uncomfortable truth most won't say out loud. You're not stuck because you're untalented. You're stuck because you're too available. Too available to people who drain you. Too available to opinions that don't matter. Too available to noise that has nothing to do with your mission. If you're constantly giving the world your attention, how can you build anything of your own? You want momentum? Cut the noise. You want growth? Create space for it. Because greatness doesn't come from more. It comes from less. Less distraction, less drama, less explanation. You think you need more time? You don't. You need fewer interruptions. You think you're burned out? You're not. You're overstimulated by things that don't matter. And here's the truth that might sting. Most of the things pulling at your attention right now, you invited them in. The group chat, the endless notifications, the content that leaves you more anxious than inspired. You can't complain about the chaos you continue to tolerate. So here's what you do. You start eliminating. You remove what's not aligned. You silence what doesn't serve. You unfollow, unsubscribe, unplug. Not because you're better than anyone, but because your vision requires clarity. And once you do, you start moving. Because now you can hear yourself think. Now you can hear your own intuition, not everyone else's noise. Now you're building with intention, not reacting on impulse. And that's where everything shifts. You begin to realize how much you were giving away for free. Your time, your attention, your power. But once you start reclaiming it, you become dangerous. Because a focused mind is a lethal weapon. It cuts through excuses. It slices through comparison. It sees clearly what must be done and does it. And while others are still explaining, still watching, still scrolling, you're executing. That's the edge. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. It's not more talent. It's not more luck. It's more focus. Guarded, protected, and poured into the right places. You've got to think of your attention like currency. Every time you give it away, you're investing in something. So ask yourself, what are you funding? A life you love or a loop you're desperate to escape? You don't rise by chance. You rise by choices. And the most powerful choice you can make every single day is where you place your energy. That's your superpower. That's your leverage. And if you keep giving it to the wrong things, you'll keep getting the wrong results. Let's go deeper, because distractions don't just show up as apps or noise. Sometimes they wear the face of a friend. Sometimes they sound like just one drink. Sometimes they feel like comfort. But they always come at a cost. If you're not intentional, the small, harmless habits, the late-night scrolling, the endless gossip, the chasing of everyone else's business, will slowly steal everything that matters. Your health, your peace, your progress. You don't need to go off the grid. You just need to be selective. Selective about who gets your time. Selective about what earns your energy. Selective about what gets space in your head. And the more you practice this, the more you feel something return. Power. You start walking different. You start choosing different. You stop reacting and start creating. Your days stop feeling chaotic. Your mind stops feeling heavy. Your goals stop feeling far away. Because now you're locked in. Now you're in control. Now your life is aligned with your intention, not your distractions. And yes, this takes effort. Yes, it takes boundaries. Yes, it takes saying no. But guess what? Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you say yes to your future. Every time you stop scrolling and start building, you move closer to the life you actually want. Every time you eliminate a distraction, you amplify your destiny. So stop asking how long it's going to take. Start asking how long you're willing to let distractions delay it. Because the truth is, you don't need more time. You need fewer distractions.
Let's talk about something most people never question. Whose opinions are you living for? Because whether you realize it or not, your actions or inactions are often shaped by invisible voices in your head. What will they think? What if they laugh? What if I fail and they see it? You plan your moves around their reactions. You limit your expression to fit their expectations. And slowly you shrink, quietly, consistently, until one day you don't even recognize yourself. But here's the truth. People are going to judge you no matter what you do, so you might as well do what sets your soul on fire. Judgment is inevitable. Success is optional. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be free. So stop giving power to opinions that do nothing but slow you down. Because the truth is, most of the people you're worried about, they're not thinking about you. They're thinking about themselves, their insecurities, their doubts, their own fears reflected back to you like a mirror. They don't hate your dreams. They're just scared of what it says about theirs. And when you try to shrink to stay small enough to be accepted, you end up being invisible. That's not your purpose. You weren't built to blend in. You weren't designed to dim. You were built to burn.
So stop explaining yourself to people who haven't earned access to your vision. Your dream is yours for a reason. It was whispered to you, not your friends, not your family, not your followers. You're not crazy for thinking big. You're not arrogant for wanting more. You're awake. And if they don't get it, let them watch, but don't let them lead. You're not obligated to make your goals understandable to people who've never stepped foot in your shoes. You don't need them to see the whole staircase when you're still building the first step. This is your life, your race, your fire. And if you wait for everyone to clap before you move, you'll never leave the starting line. Because validation is addictive, but it's also empty. It feels good, briefly, but it fades fast. And the more you depend on it, the more you become a puppet, dancing for applause instead of living in alignment. Here's the shift. Live for alignment, not approval. Because approval changes, but alignment lasts. Alignment is what keeps you moving when no one's watching. Alignment is what wakes you up before the alarm. Alignment is what silences doubt, not because it's gone, but because it's irrelevant. So how do you know if you're aligned? Simple. Does it make you feel more like you? Does it pull you toward the version of yourself you admire? Does it feel like coming home, even if it's hard, even if it's risky, even if no one claps? That's alignment. And once you taste it, you'll stop begging for applause. You'll start moving differently. People will notice. Some will be inspired. Some will feel threatened. Either way, that's not your job to manage. Your job is to move, to grow, to build, to become. You don't need everyone to believe in you. You just need to stop betraying yourself to gain their approval. Because no amount of likes, followers, or compliments will ever satisfy a soul that's disconnected from its purpose. And yes, the moment you start living in alignment, discomfort will show up. Why? Because growth always comes with grief. You'll grieve the old version of you, the one that used to settle, the one that used to seek permission, the one that played small so others wouldn't feel insecure. But let it go. Let that version of you die so a stronger one can rise. This is how transformation happens. Not in the spotlight, not through applause, but in the quiet moments when you say, "I'm done living for them." From that moment on, everything begins to shift. You say yes to things you scare you, not because you're reckless, but because you're ready. You say no to what drains you, not because you're selfish, but because you're focused. You start speaking your truth, not because you want to be heard, but because you refuse to stay silent. And the more you do this, the more you build something unshakable: self-trust. That's what real confidence is made of. Not ego, not bravado, just evidence. The more you trust yourself to take action, to follow through, to stand tall even when it's uncomfortable, the more you unstoppable. You won't need permission, you won't need validation. You'll just know. That's real power. And you can build it. Right now. No special background required, no perfect plan needed, no audience necessary, just a decision. A decision to stop outsourcing your self-worth. A decision to start building confidence from within. A decision to rise, even if you rise alone. Because sometimes you have to disappear for a while to rebuild yourself in peace. To get clear on who you are without all the noise. And when you come back, you won't have to explain a thing. Your energy will speak for you. Your results will speak for you. Your presence will speak for you. So let them talk. Let them doubt. Let them misunderstand. You're not here to be understood. You're here to become undeniable.
If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Let's break one of the biggest myths out there. Success doesn't come from doing one big thing. It comes from doing the small things over and over again, quietly, relentlessly, without applause, without a camera, without needing the world to notice. You want to know the real secret? It's consistency. Not once, not when it's convenient, not only when you're motivated, but daily. Because the people who make it, the ones who rise, the ones who build a life others only dream about, they don't rely on motivation. They rely on momentum. They've learned the difference between what feels good now and what creates greatness later. They understand that results don't show up when you want them to. They show up when you earn them, in silence, in sweat, and in the grind. So let's get real. Do you want transformation or just inspiration? Because inspiration fades fast. It's a spark, a jolt, but if there's no fire behind it, it burns out just as fast. Transformation takes discipline, and that discipline starts with the boring stuff. Getting up early when you'd rather sleep, reading when it's easier to scroll, training when no one's watching, saying no when everyone else is saying yes. Success isn't built in grand moments. It's built in the micro decisions you make every day, when no one's around to clap. That's what shapes your future. The compound effect is real. Every small action, every repeated habit, every ordinary effort, it all adds up. But here's the catch. Because the change is slow, most people quit too soon. They plant the seed, but when they don't see the sprout in a week, they walk away. They forget that progress is happening beneath the surface. Let me paint the picture. Imagine planting a seed. You water it, you give it sunlight, you care for it. For weeks, nothing happens. You stare at the dirt. It looks like nothing's working. But underground, the roots are forming. The structure is strengthening. The foundation is being built. And then one day, breakthrough. But it only happens because you didn't quit. That's your life. That's your goals. That's your business. That's your transformation. The roots are forming even when you can't see the results yet. But most people never make it to breakthrough. Why? Because they chase speed instead of substance. They want it now. They want it fast. They want the shortcut. But there is no shortcut. There's only consistency. You don't get in shape by working out once. You don't master your craft by showing up occasionally. You don't build confidence by thinking about action. You build it by moving, again and again and again. Repetition builds reputation with yourself. Every time you follow through, your brain says, "We're the kind of person who finishes." Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build trust. And when you trust yourself, fear loses its grip. Because now you have evidence. Not hope, not theory, proof. You've seen yourself show up tired. You've seen yourself do the work unmotivated. You've watched yourself get stronger, sharper, more focused. That's real power, and it only comes through daily discipline. So if you're waiting for the big moment, stop. If you're waiting for the perfect plan, stop. If you're waiting to feel confident, stop. Just move. Just start. Because success isn't about intensity, it's about identity. And your identity is shaped by what you consistently do. So let me ask you, what are your habits saying about who you are? Because whether you like it or not, you are always becoming something. The question is, are you becoming the person you want to be? Or are you becoming a version of yourself you'll regret? It's not about being perfect. It's not about never messing up. It's about making the small right choice more often than not.
It's about not letting one bad day turn into a bad week. It's about returning to the plan, again and again, even when life knocks you sideways. You don't need to be superhuman. You just need to be persistent. You don't need to feel 100% ready. You just need to take the next step. Because the people who succeed, they didn't wait until they felt ready. They started before the confidence showed up. And with every step, they built the belief. Confidence isn't a requirement. It's a byproduct. You don't get it by sitting still. You get it by taking action, even when you feel uncertain. And every time you move, even just a little, you cast a vote for the person you're becoming. Vote after vote, day after day, step after step, until one day you look up and realize you've become that person, the one who follows through, the one who doesn't quit, the one who moves quietly but powerfully, the one who no longer needs motivation because you've got momentum. That's what's waiting for you. Not perfection, but power earned through the small, consistent actions that most people overlook. So today, make the choice. Not to overhaul your whole life, not to get it all together, just to show up, just to do the next right thing, just to take one more step in the direction of your future. Because small things, repeated with discipline, become everything.
Let's be real. You don't rise by accident. You rise because you choose to, again and again, when it will be easier to quit. You rise because you keep showing up, even when the results don't. And that takes two rare qualities: patience and discipline. Most people underestimate them. They chase fast wins, instant gratification, quick dopamine hits. They want the outcome without the effort, the reward without the repetition. And that's why they stay stuck. But if you want lasting success, the kind that changes your life, not just your week, you need to master the art of patience and marry it with unshakable discipline. Because here's the truth: success takes time. Anything worth building requires space to evolve. Foundations need to be poured. Skills need to be sharpened. Character needs to be formed. And that doesn't happen overnight. It happens in the silence. It happens when you're doing the work and it feels like no one cares, when progress is invisible, when results feel far away. But that's where champions are built. In the seasons no one sees. Everyone wants the glory, but few are willing to grind in obscurity long enough to earn it. So if you feel like it's taking too long, good. That means you're doing it right. You're building something real, something that will last. Because anything that comes too fast can be taken away just as fast. But when it's earned slowly, brick by brick, no one can take that from you. So don't curse the time it's taking. Respect it. Use it, grow during it, and remind yourself, this is the process. Yes, it's slow. Yes, it's repetitive. Yes, it's hard. But that's what makes it worth it. Because anyone can be motivated for a week, but only a few are disciplined for a lifetime. That's what separates the dreamers from the finishers. So let's talk about discipline. It's not about feeling inspired. It's about doing the work regardless of how you feel. It's waking up early when your bed feels perfect. It's choosing the workout when no one's holding you accountable. It's pushing forward even when the results aren't instant. Discipline isn't glamorous. It's not flashy, but it's the foundation of everything you want. And here's the best part. It's not a talent. It's a choice. You don't have to be born with it. You can build it. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you reinforce that identity. You're casting votes for the kind of person you want to become, not with words, with action. Because the world doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you consistently pursue. And the compound effect of discipline is unstoppable. You won't see the change overnight, but day by day, you're stacking effort on effort. And suddenly, what felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. Not because it got easier, but because you've got stronger. So if you've been waiting for a sign to keep going, this is it. Stay disciplined, stay patient, and watch what happens. Because you don't rise because you feel ready. You rise because you decide to move, especially when you don't. That's where confidence is born. Not in comfort, but in follow-through. Confidence isn't about shouting, "I can do it." It's about having enough evidence from your own life that you've done it before and you'll do it again. You don't get that from books. You don't get that from inspiration. You get it from repetition. You build it by becoming someone who keeps promises to themselves. So ask yourself, are you keeping your word? Not to other people, to yourself. Are you showing up like you said you would? Are you doing the hard thing even when it doesn't feel good? Are you staying patient when the results are slow? Are you becoming the kind of person you said you would be? Because that's the real battle. Not against the world, not against the competition. The battle is you versus you. Your habits, your distractions, your fear, your excuses. And you win that battle not with intensity, but with consistency. Every day, every hour, every moment you choose your purpose over your comfort, you win. It's not one big moment that changes everything. It's thousands of small ones. One yes to discipline, one no to distraction. One more rep, one more hour, one more day. Stack them high enough, and your life begins to change. Slowly at first, then all at once. But only if you don't quit. Because most people fail not because they weren't good enough, but because they didn't stay long enough. They didn't give the roots time to grow. They got impatient. They got distracted. They gave up right before the shift. Don't let that be you. You've come too far. You've sacrificed too much. You've planted too many seeds to walk away now. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep building. Because if you master patience and discipline, there is nothing you can't do.
If this message touched your heart, take a moment to like the video. It helps more than you know. Share it with someone who might need this today. And if you want more content that feeds your soul, subscribe and stay with us. Your journey matters, and you're not alone.
Let's talk about something powerful and rare. Confidence. Not the fake kind, not ego, not the loud, overcompensating kind that crumbles under pressure. I'm talking about real confidence, the kind that's silent, stable, unshakable, the kind you carry in your presence, not in your words. Here's the truth. Confidence doesn't come from being the best in the room. It comes from knowing that regardless of the room, you belong there. And that kind of confidence, it's not given. It's not found. It's earned. How? By doing the work, by taking action over and over, even when you're unsure, by building evidence that you can count on yourself. Because when you've seen yourself push through discomfort, when you've watched yourself get back up again and again, when you've done hard things and survived, you stop needing permission. You stop waiting for approval. You stop seeking validation because you've already validated yourself. That's the shift. Confidence isn't something you wait to feel. It's something you build through repetition. You don't become confident by thinking your way there. You become confident by moving, even when you're afraid. By taking the leap, saying yes to the opportunity, speaking up when your voice shakes, doing the thing when every doubt in your mind is screaming, "Don't." Every time you act in spite of fear, you build trust in yourself. And over time, that trust becomes confidence. The problem is, most people wait. They wait to feel ready. They wait for the fear to leave. They wait for someone else to believe in them first. But that moment never comes. Confidence doesn't show up before the action. It shows up because of it. So if you've been holding back, thinking, I'll move once I'm confident, flip the script. Say, I'll move and become confident through the process. Because no one's coming to hand it to you. You build it one uncomfortable action at a time. That's what the confident people you admire already know. They don't move because they're fearless. They move in spite of fear. They don't wait for certainty. They act in uncertainty and figure it out along the way. And guess what? That's available to you. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to be the smartest. You don't need to have the most experience. You just need to be the one who keeps showing up. That's what confidence actually is. Proof. Proof that you're reliable. Proof that you can trust yourself. Proof that you don't break when things get hard. And you build that proof through action. You don't get it from compliments. You don't get it from likes or followers. You don't get it from waiting. You get it from doing. And when you do, everything changes. You start speaking differently. You walk into rooms differently. You stop asking, am I good enough? And start saying, I've done the work. Let's go. Confidence becomes your baseline, not your goal. Because now it's not something you chase. It's something you own. So how do you start? Simple. You stop overthinking. You stop procrastinating. You stop trying to plan it all perfectly before you move. You start with one action, one uncomfortable phone call, one bold email, one time you speak up when you normally would have stayed silent, one rep, one risk, one move. You take the step and earn the proof. And then you take another. And before you know it, the version of you that used to hesitate, gone. Replaced by someone who moves without waiting, who acts without explaining, who builds without begging for applause. That version of you is already inside, waiting to be activated. And here's the bonus. Once you stop waiting for external validation, you get time back. You get energy back. You stop wasting mental bandwidth on what people might think. You just move. And movement builds momentum. Momentum builds consistency. Consistency builds identity. That's what confidence really is, identity. The story you tell yourself about who you are. So change the story. No more, I'm not ready. Say, I'm in training. No more, I'm not sure I can. Say, I've done hard things before, I'll figure it out again. No more, what if I fail? Say, what if I learn? Because that's what this is, training. You're not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to be progressing. And every step forward, every mistake, every awkward moment, it's all reps. Reps that build the version of you that walks with quiet power. The version that doesn't need the room's approval because they already have their own. So take the step, do the thing, move even if you're trembling. That's how you build confidence that lasts. That's how you become undeniable.
This is where it all comes together. Everything we've talked about, the focus, the discipline, the patience, the confidence, it all leads to this moment, execution. Not just the idea, not just the mindset, not just the someday, but the doing, the becoming, the part where you stop being interested in change and start living it. Because here's the truth, nothing works if you don't. All the motivation in the world won't matter if you don't move. All the information you've gathered won't help if you don't apply it. All the potential inside you means nothing if you don't release it. You've got to start. You've got to act. Even when it's uncomfortable, even when you're tired, even when no one sees it, even when no one claps. Especially when no one claps. because that's when it counts most. That's when character is built. That's when habits are formed. That's when you separate yourself from the crowd, not in the spotlight, but in the shadows. So here's what you do. Stop overcomplicating the process. You don't need a 10-step plan. You need a decision, and one clear step today. Don't wait for next week. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Move now. Pick the habit, pick the goal, pick the thing you've been avoiding, and do it. And then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after that. Stack those days, stack that proof, stack that identity, until you look up and realize you've become the person you used to dream of being. Not through luck, not through hype, but through consistency. That's the real flex. That's the real power. And when people ask, how did you do it? How did you change? How did you level up? You won't need to say a word. Your presence will answer. Your results will echo. Your life will speak volumes. Because the greatest statement you'll ever make is not something you say, it's how you live. So live loud through quiet execution. Live bold through daily repetition. Live free by no longer being held hostage by fear, distraction, or other people's expectations. Let your silence be strategic. Let your discipline be visible. Let your actions speak so loudly that your voice is just the confirmation. This is how legacies are built, not in noise, but in focus, not in speed, but in alignment, not in theory, but in motion. So take inventory. Where are you still explaining, still waiting, still playing small? Cut it. Where are you still entertaining distractions, still checking in with people who don't check in with themselves, still handing out access to people who haven't earned it? Cut it. Where are you still betraying your own potential to make others comfortable? Cut it. This is your season of alignment over approval, execution over explanation, mastery over momentum. You're not here to play in loops. You're not here to live the same year 20 times and call it a life. You're here to evolve, to build, to dominate your space, to lead in your niche, to rise in silence and arrive without warning. Let the world guess what you're up to. Let them whisper. Let them wonder. You're too locked in to answer. You're too focused to defend. You're too in alignment to explain. This is how you earn peace, by no longer needing to perform for it, by being so rooted in your purpose that nothing shakes your clarity. And when fear shows up, let it, but move anyway. When doubt creeps in, let it, but act anyway. Because the goal was never to eliminate fear. The goal was to become someone it can't stop. That's who you are now. You've built the habits. You've trained the focus. You've earned the self-trust. You've become the proof. So stop looking backward. Stop waiting for someone to validate what you already know deep down. You're ready. Not perfect, not fully prepared, but ready. Ready to take the next step. Ready to lead. Ready to let your results speak, louder than any announcement ever could. Because this is your era. No more delays, no more distractions, no more someday. It's now, right here, right now, today. Make the move, keep it quiet, stay consistent, and let your life speak for you.